Well, my mum was an actress before she married. She was at the Liverpool Rep with, well, this dates me, Robert Donat and Marjorie Fielding and Diana Wynyard, you know, sort of golden days. And she came to London in a play that started there, and she met my father at a dance where he knew a school friend of hers, a girl she'd been at school with. He'd met in India. He was Indian Army, and they met at this dance and got married. And she gave up the theatre and had me and my brother. And my dad worked for a cotton firm and was a commuter. But he was the generation that fought in both wars. So the Second World War, they sold their house at a loss. Must be worth millions now.
Yes.
And we evacuated down to Devon. And my dad, as I say, joined up. And we were in this Devonshire village during the war. I learnt my catechism in Broad Devon. And then the evacuees arrived with their teacher, Mrs. Prudence. And she taught us our alphabet to the tune of Auld Lang Syne. They went A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. And there was a middle eight. Did I never tell you this? There was a middle eight went, and when the teacher claps her hands quite silent, we must be and sit up nicely in our seats and learn our ABC. And I was furious, you see. I stormed home and said, I know my alphabet. And Ma took me away from the village school, which was, and eventually I went to her old school, and she took a job as under matron, which paid for it. And that was it, really. And I went to drama school when I left. Where did you train? I forget.
Rather,
yes,
yeah.
That's right, yes.
Well, I was always showing off and didn't really stop climbing around. And so I became an amateur actor when I was 14, playing, as you did, several 85-year-olds.
Yes.
Appalling acting. So the worst acting probably ever been. And I did that, and then I had to go to, I was hopeless at school, and so I became a sort of clerk, and 2 years of that, horror. And then I did 2 years in the RF, and so I was bored to death. And I had a very, very, very famous cousin, my father's cousin, called Terry Thomas.
Oh, right.
Amazing man.
Yes.
And he said, because he used to talk like that, how are you? How lovely, from little scales enchanting. And he said, well, you better go and get some sort of training, because you appear to me to have something. I don't really know what it is.
Charming.
But I think you ought. So I sort of literally just about got into RADA, because now, of course, there's thousands of people trying to get in. And I wouldn't have done it. I just literally got in. And then I got better, as they say. Got improved.
Bit brilliant, yes.
And I got an extraordinary thing for Fresnel. I got a thing into a scholarship into Liverpool Playhouse, which is the great.
My mum was there, years before.
It's amazing.
Yes.
And it was wonderful that. Of course, I got married there with Annie, and so we started a whole life really in Liverpool Playhouse, which is a lovely theatre. And you can't believe it now with the poor kids now.
I'd forgotten you were at Liverpool Playhouse. It's a great bond, isn't it? Yeah.
Extraordinary, another bond. When you think the children now are doing these awful plays, and they're doing these awful pubs, and sort of everything
the
black.
Rep, we learnt our job in Rep,
Yeah.
Salisbury, I was there for
wonderful.
Yes, marvellous. We touring and 2 weeks in the theatre in Salisbury, and then 2 weeks touring around. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
It was wonderful. I mean, everything we did sort of either bad or well. Didn't matter, because they were all different kinds of parts. And you just don't get that nowadays at all.
playing things in front of audiences, yes.
Yes.
You know,
Terrible.
learning to time.
We had a wonderful time in those days. It was
You've
really
been lucky,
terrific.
yes.
Now it is, I think, a bugger for everyone. For young people, it's just appalling. And there's no proper rehearsal, there's no proper... they get through it.
Yeah, well, so Sam's gone into it, and he's quite...
Yes.
He's mercifully busy.
Always.
But he didn't do rep. I mean, he played
No.
in various regional theatres in plays, but he didn't have that unique experience that we both had of playing a different play, well,
That's right.
in the best things, the best different play every month or 3 weeks or fortnight.
Yes.
Weekly rep was a bit silly, wasn't it?
Oh, terrible, yes. I mean, he did it 6 or 8 weeks, I couldn't do it. I couldn't remember it.
No, I know. Weekly rep, yes, and learning the next play while you were doing it. You knew Richard, who wrote it.
I knew Richard Waring, who wrote a thing about, oh dear, it's gone again. Somebody will know what it is. It's, oh dear, what it is. The first thing I did for telly. And it was Brothers-in-Law.
Oh, yes.
Which was got it. And then became a sort of, they did, Ian Carmichael did the film. And then they decided to do the actual small screen. And I got into a marvellous part. And there was a friend of mine who was a good actor, called Richard...
Waring?
Richard Waring became, and was an actor, a very good one.
Yeah.
And then he became my sort of second kick. And so he said one time, he said, I don't really want to do any more acting, I want to write.
Oh.
And I want to write this thing about two young couples. And the vicissitudes and the worries and all that thing of being young and married and children and all the stuff. And he said, would you like to, do it? I've got to find a marvellous actress who can play the wife. And that, of course, thank goodness, for our great luck, was Renetta Scales.
I don't know, why did they think of me? I don't know. What had I done?
Waring knew you.
Did he?
Yes.
I think I'd done a broadcast for him or something.
Something like that.
Yeah, something. And anyway, hooray, hooray! It was brilliant. Oh, it was absolutely brilliant. And Tim and I it was when we were early marriage, and so it helped with the mortgage, you know. And then of course I got pregnant, and they had to write Sam in for the second series.
Yes.
Our son's first appearance on television was in utero, as I say.
Yes.
And Richard's his godfather, though not his father, let me hasten to
No, not a very good godfather, still.
Lovely.
We'll get that.
Fantastic.
But it was quite very, very hard work.
Yes.
And we seemed to be somewhat very natural. And
I thought it was really very well lit. I'm quite proud of them when I see them now.
Yes, they weren't bad, apart from being black and white. Which
yes, black and white.
was difficult.
But they're quite real, and I feel
they are, aren't they? Again, I was, very good at playing idiots, and he was. And this poor, long-suffering girl, the wife, and that's really there were a few rows, but only very nice
What,
rows.
Professional rows? Oh,
No, not really.
No.
No, I think we'd had enough.
Know it.
I think we'd had enough.
I've always thought we got on very, very well.
Otherwise we'll be in the street with them, like the street.
Richard was cross if I didn't know it, but I had to swat it up. Not Richard Waring, not Richard Brass. Yeah. You were never betrayed by word or gesture. You were very kind to me. Very kind to me. Well, that's the terrible thing. Well, having done weekly rep, one was used to learning things in a week.
Yes.
Because with sitcom, it's terribly important. I mean, later on when I did Fawlty Towers with John Cleese, you know, you bloody well
the great show, yes.
You bloody well have to know it backwards.
Yes.
So in order to be there, when he takes longer to deliver the next line, because it's funnier.
That's right. My God, that was an extraordinary thing, wasn't it?
It was good though. It was fun.
Oh, wonderful.
Lovely.
We were very young at the time, and of course we were also very, very famous because there are only 2 particular channels. I mean, now there are 400.
I suppose, yes, I hadn't thought of that. Yeah. Black and
Prue
white.
and I were very well known because he said, "Good Lord, there's only they're the 2 over there. They're all, God, they're on the television." Well, of course now everyone's on the bloody television, you know. But I say it was extraordinary. I used to have, you know, typically me, which was very big-headed, but I used to have I lived in a short suburban road, and I came out of the door and it started the music, and it was me and it was her, and it was several houses had the thing going. It was summer. And so I said, God, we're in the houses, which is incredible. And I was terribly sort of, oh, rather good.
Yes, with their windows open because of the summer, yes.
That's right, it's weird. And we were still there, we were there.
Oh, it was so...
50 years
Well, it
ago.
was such good fortune to be a young married couple in this business, and both of you actors, like Tim and I were.
Yes.
And he's always been busy, but very often in theatre, which doesn't pay anything like as much, with one baby at home and another one on the way, etc., etc., etc.,
Yes.
you know, all that.
So
to have marriage lines and the repeat, you know, was incredible.
Wonderful.
Incredibly.
We were very lucky, weren't we?
Great blessing. Great blessing.
And very good.
Yes. I'm quite proud of it, aren't you? It hasn't lost speed.
Not bad at
it's
all.
quite quick, isn't it?
That's true. And Edward D'Souza and people like that.
Lovely.
Terribly good.
Yes.
Very good
lovely.
actors, I must say. There was nobody there that sort of, you know,
Yeah.
made you feel a bit hot in the colour. Not at all.
But very often you see old telly comedies. They're very good and charming, but sometimes they got very slow.
Yes.
But not with.
No, you and I were pretty quick. Fairly quick.
After Series 1 I got married, didn't I? I wasn't married.
I think it was, yes.
We were engaged or courting or something. Anyway, Series 2, and then I got pregnant. So Richard Waring had to write Sam in. He wasn't very big, but he was evident. And they padded him out a bit. I feel very, and as I say, Richard's his godfather, though not his father.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think I'm rather proud of Sam's first appearance being in utero on television. I think
Marvellous.
It was rather sweet.
I think it's marvellous.
When I went on the stage, when I went into the business, I kept very stum about my mum having been an actress, because you were supposed to be Albert Finney, from a raw working class background, with no theatrical antecedents at all. And poor old Sam, he's got 2 parents, 3 grandparents and 2 great-grandparents in the business, and he's never out of work. It's
That's
all right.
It's
perfectly all right. The Redgraves did it, of course. The Redgraves, who... all of them actors, and all their parents and grandparents actors as well.
Yes,
and it's okay now. It doesn't mean you won't do it right or won't understand the truth and things,
No. And I've got Lucy.
Of course you have, yes.
And she's another very good actress, same name as...
Lovely.
Name was same as his Sam. Same as his...
Yes.
So they're both the same ages.
Yes. Have they worked together?
I don't know that they have.
They must.
They certainly should.
Yes. Our son was born. It was very unusual for the father to be present, and but I happened to meet the senior registrar at Queen Charlotte's Hospital because at a ex-flatmate of mine party, she'd married a doctor, you know, and I said, "Are you a doctor?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Where do you work?" He said, "Queen Charlotte's." I said, "Oh, could you get me in there if I get pregnant?" He said, "Yes, get in touch with me." He was the senior registrar, and he got me in, and Tim was allowed to be there. He was the first father to see his baby born in Queen Charlotte's Hospital, I think.
Marvellous.
And Sam popped out, and Tim said, "Very good, no retakes." I laughed so much I had to have stitches.
And of course the other person, of course, who was born there was Lucy.
Yes, of course.
Queen Charlotte's, you see, extraordinary.
Yes.
Very weird.
Yes. Well, you lived opposite.
Yes, we did.
That's
yes.
right.
Yes.
Because I said, "Where's my husband?" He said, "You don't want him here, do you?" And I said, "Yes, that's the whole point." And I rang home, and my parents were there with no Tim. And eventually, between spasms, I said, "Try Richard Bryars," and he was over there at Richard's.
300 yards.
Knocking back the
Scotch.
The Scotch,
yes,
and saying, "Isn't it
yes.
dreadful what women get?"
Oh, they know it's dreadful. We were dreadful.
Yes, I suppose you sort of you had a lot of fathers, did you, in your house?
Quite a few.
Yes, because they had
We
this
were the annex.
lovely house just opposite Queen Charlotte's Hospital.
Yes. I don't know. We did
We've been married. Well, you've been married 50-something, haven't you?
Oh, 125 years. Yes, it's extraordinary, isn't
We're
it?
coming up to 50.
Yes.
We're 49, I think, now.
That's right, yes.
Coming up to golden jobs.
Yes.
But actually, most of the people I know in the theatre, you know, it's just the ones that don't work out always hit the headlines. And the couples who've been together forever, like us, you know, everyone thinks it's too boring.
Yes, really boring.
And have you had your golden jobs yet?
No, we've done 40.
50.
50.
50 is golden.
Yes, 50.
When is that?
Have we done 50? I can't remember. We're about 50,
You must have.
yes.
Yes. Because you were married before the marriage line started, weren't you?
That's right.
Yes.
And the same thing.
You must
was
be coming up. We must have had 50, darling.
44 pounds at that 44 years at the house.
Oh, the house, yes,
And
but
that's your
actual
place.
marriage, more. Wasn't it?
Well, I think it must have done 50. I must have given
Must have
something
done.
wonderful.
Keep working, I think.
Keep working.
Yes.
We both get interests in the theatre, which is good. And you have had a lot.
I don't know
of
about
stress.
you, but we've always just been able to afford a little bit of help in the house, you know.
Yes.
Which, if you are both working, is, well, incredibly important. And if you've got children, you know, well, as I say, there were about 6 au pairs at Sam's, at Joe's wedding that
Yes.
6 au pairs, I think.
Yes.
You know, we had a series of au
You
pairs.
do need help.
But you do need help, and
And of course, you do also have humour is a great thing.
oh yeah.
If you can
to
laugh a
laugh.
bit together, that's splendid. And they're both, you know, very funny people anyway, and we're quite funny. So it's not
You're
bad.
hilarious, both of you.
So it has to happen.
Not how is Annie anyway?
She's fine.
Yes.
I mean, she's very sort of with it. And I'm getting a bit stupid, a bit old.
No, you're not.
But, you know, she's extraordinary how she put up with it all.